More CM Punk drama we're talking about it in today's video, but first we're going to talk about WWE and their interest in an AEW wrestler, and we're talking about Hook. It's not the first time we've talked about this, but Boozer seems to be talking a little bit more about this that has a lot of people intrigued. So BWE came out on Twitter and said, personally, I think Hook is the easiest catch for WWE at the moment. Taz wants him to go. HBK and Triple H want him, and I don't know about his contract, but I believe he could be the first of many. Now, here's the thing. I actually like Hook, and I do think Hook would benefit greatly from being at the WWE Performance Center, starting things off in NXT and climbing through the ranks. I do genuinely believe that WWE can do a really good job with Hook if they were to bring him in. On the flip side of that, though, and this is what makes me intrigued more than anything. If you look at Hook, he's on national TV. He's involved in a tag team with Jungle Boy. So those are two things right there that immediately, I feel like those are both attractive things, right? He's holding the FTW championship, which obviously is not a sanctioned belt in AEW. But to me, I do count that as something that's pretty significant because he is seen on television basically just respecting the history and you know, being able to bring that to the forefront of a product. I don't think that would happen in WWE. I think right now AEW does offer, from a short-term point of view, I feel like AEW is the best place for him. I think in the long term, depending on what he wants to accomplish in the wrestling industry, and I can't speak for these guys, right? But from the outside looking in, I feel like WWE would be the best route to go for the long-term stuff. I think for the short-term stuff, I feel like AEW is kind of letting him find himself, right? And I think that's very beneficial. I think that's great as well. What does Hook look like in WWE? You know what I mean? I feel like that's a very big question to ask because AEW's hardcore audience loves him. Do I think he could garner a good reaction from the WWE fan base? Yeah, I do. I think this kid is great in pro wrestling. I think he's really talented. I think there's a lot of potential there. I just don't know how I see. I guess I can't visualize the way WWE would change Hook, what he would look like on WWE television. But it's interesting because Boozer's coming out saying, yeah, Taz wants him to go. That definitely gets me thinking, you know? Why would Taz want him to go to WWE? And look, you can have your opinions on AEW being better or worse or WWE being better or worse, and that's fine. But I do think there is some truth that there are going to be AEW people jumping over. I think Ricky Starks is another name as well. And it's not necessarily shocking that WWE would be interested, right? I think if you're looking at WWE from the perspective of recruiting, they're trying to do a whole global expansion. They're trying to do so much. I think for WWE, if they offer people the bag and they're giving them what they want, and you know, I think it's definitely a more attractive place now than it was years ago when there was constant talks of backstage, bad morale, all of these different things. And it seems like right now a lot of people are happy with WWE. So this is something to definitely pay attention to. WWE is reportedly interested, according to BWE, and I'm interested to see what happens there. Guys, do you remember Kevin Matthews? He used to wrestle for Impact Wrestling, and we talked a little bit about Jimmy Jacobs joining AEW. Well, now it appears that Kevin Matthews, KM, he actually used to be a developmental talent for WWE as well years ago. He worked for Impact years ago. And then he's been doing some stuff on the indies, and I believe he even runs his own indie promotion as well. The name is not coming to the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, I've been seeing some stuff with him. I think maybe Wrestle Pro. I don't want to get it twisted, but nonetheless, PW Insider has reported that he has joined AEW. He actually worked at past AEW Dark tapings. However, PW Insider was told that he is now working for the company in the behind-the-scenes capacity, although the exact position is unknown. Guys, I mean, this is another smart move, right? If you're AEW, you're bringing in talented veterans of the pro wrestling industry. You're bringing them in to have input and to help shape and develop your television product, and I think that's really important. I think one of the big things here is that AEW, instead of going for television writers, they're going for people who are in the business, and we'll see what the end result is. But Jimmy Jacobs was a great pickup. KM is definitely a great pickup. And I think if you're AEW, by doing this, you're showing that you're showing to a lot of potential new employees, right? You're showing a lot of wrestlers, guys who may have retired from WWE or Impact or New Japan or whatever. You're basically letting them know, it's like a message that's being broadcasted to them. Like, hey, you don't have to be like this top star, big name world champion, but if you have experience in this industry and you're not wrestling on television, we could bring you in and allow you to give input and help the product improve. And for a lot of people, and this is why it's just so important having another big company, right? It gives people a job and they don't even have to take bumps or anything like that, right? So that's a good thing. WWE does it with the Performance Center and the coaches and stuff. AEW doesn't have a Performance Center, but they do hire more producers, more agents. And then keep in mind, we talked about the news the other day. BJ Whitmer was fired. He was terminated due to the alleged allegations. So at the end of the day, when I see something like this happening, I actually support it. I think it's a really good move, and it's a really strong move. We got to talk about CM Punk. Yeah, more CM Punk drama. Funny thing is, the interview didn't even air. That's what's crazy. So Wade Keller from PW Torch, he basically came out and he did his audio show. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. He says on the show, I am under the impression between now and Saturday, there's going to be something that comes out that media-wise that is not going to help matters. Probably. I don't mean to be cryptic, but I haven't heard the details or seen enough to say much. But yeah, I just don't know. I just think it's going to be one of those weeks. I'll put it that way. From what I'm hearing behind the scenes in AEW, it's just going to be one of those weeks. Brian Alvarez then comes out a little bit later on the message board, and he says, taped ESPN interview is what I'm told will make a lot of people upset, and it comes out Friday. Fightful Select then jumps on with a report that Punk discussed a number of things during his interview with ESPN, and one of those topics was about the Elite, but what was said by Punk was reportedly done in a way that would blur the lines and help create buzz for some upcoming shows. Fightful Select added that they were told that Punk answered questions in a way that would make the audience wonder if he was shooting or angling for a story, and Punk was very aware that he said that what he said would come across as polarizing. There is more, obviously, in detail with Fightful. So you guys remember months and months ago when I talked on this channel, I said they're going to blur the lines. Then All Out happens, and then you still don't know what's going on because all the mixed reporting. Lines have definitely been blurred. Regardless if it's work, shoot, it doesn't matter. Lines have definitely been blurred. But what really made it crazy was we have another member of the wrestling journalism, and his name is Nick Hausman, and he puts out a tweet in response to the Wade Keller stuff. He says, I believe I know what this is in reference to, and I would not jump to the conclusion that there is going to be a big issue. I could be wrong. So the thing is, these guys come out, there's reports of something that CM Punk said, which, by the way, could be storyline. It hasn't aired yet. And all of this drama coming out and all of this talk about backstage heat and people are going to be upset and it's this massive ordeal. First of all, nobody's heard the interview. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we got wrestling journalists coming out here leaving very, very, very blank statements. Maybe, probably, I think, I could be wrong. This is the type of bullshit that people don't want to listen to when it comes to wrestling and wrestling news, because it is a constant trying to read in between the lines and trying to dissect every single little word. And these people come out and you know, the thing is, at the end of the day, the reality is, and this is just simply the truth, everything that has happened with CM Punk, to me, has been a head scratcher, because CM Punk has been smeared all over social media based on these comments that have come out, based on wrestling journalists, and we've seen quite a few of them, and not all of them, but we've seen quite a few wrestling journalists come out. I think this is what happened backstage. This is what was told to me. This is the reaction. This, that. There was so many mixed reporting, and at the end of the day, what did it do? It turned people against CM Punk. And then you have people who genuinely believe that some of these dirt sheets are part of the work. And you really can't blame them, because a lot of this shit just doesn't make sense. But the idea that people are running with stories, and I really appreciate Fightful's report here, because it seems like they're just letting us know what they've heard about what the interview is. But I've seen people, they're coming out and they're very, very pissed about CM Punk, and it just seems like this is all a mess. AEW needs to get past this. Doesn't matter if it's storyline or not, because you literally have people, they don't even care to listen to CM Punk now. And that's the reality. Like, they're announcing CM Punk for Collision and people just simply don't care. And I knew this would happen. I did. And if you watch the old videos, you would know that I've said, if this is a work, then you are getting people to turn on your company and to turn on certain individuals in your company. And if you're trying to push somebody as a heel, it's not going to be beneficial. And if you look at those Collision sales for after Chicago, it's pretty evident that people really just don't care. So very interesting stuff. I don't know if there's actually backstage heat like many are reporting and suggesting, but we'll see the ESPN interview. Shout out to CM Punk. He's a great talent, and I think a lot of people are definitely, whether it's the Elites or CM Punk, I think definitely people are picking sides on he say, she say, and I just don't think that's right.